Greg talks about how he resolved palpitations and lightheadedness.
My first awareness of stress illness started when I brought my daughter up to see Georgie. And it became obvious very quickly because of her improvement what a fantastic program this was. So when I first had my own symptoms, I kind of thought it might be stress related, but I didn't really know. Now my symptoms took place on a golf course, and in hindsight I'd actually had symptoms twice before the real occasion. What I had was a lightheadedness. I suffered tremendous sweats. I was very, very hot, and I didn't know it was a palpitation at the time, but certainly something was wrong, and I felt incredibly tired. Now, the symptoms in the first two occasions passed very quickly, within minutes, and after a bit of a rest and a few deep breaths, I was fine. I was able to carry on playing. The third time it occurred, it was much more serious, and I recognised it as being much more serious. Again on a golf course, but this time I had such serious palpitations and lightheadedness that I felt absolutely dreadful, and I could hardly make it up the last little hill to the end of the golf course. My legs were like lead, and I really did think something's really seriously wrong here. Now, as a result of that, of course, I went to my GP. GP did all the normal tests, the blood pressure, the ECGs, and so on, and referred me to go and see the consultant cardiologist. Now, while I was waiting for that appointment to come round some weeks later, I went down to Cambridge and played golf, this time with my brother-in-law, who's also a doctor, fortunately, because again I had another incident, exactly the same symptoms, but on this occasion, of course, he was able to take my vital signs there and then on the golf course. And again, I had a very erratic pulse rate. He said I felt clammy to touch, but I actually was really hot again and sweat was dripping off me. And he took me straight to Addenbrooke's A&E. And they decided they'd admit me overnight for monitoring. So I was on all the ECGs and all the other monitors they use, at the end of which they said, basically, apart from having an irregular heartbeat, you're okay. And again, even after I'd been into A&E only for 40 minutes, I actually felt better. So the night I spent in hospital didn't actually prove anything at all. I came back up to Huddersfield, went to see the cardiologist, went through several weeks of tests that they did, again ECGs and stress tests and all sorts of things, trying to reproduce the symptoms that I'd had on the golf course, and they'd failed. But during this time, because I was aware of stress illness and aware particularly of the benefits of journaling, I'd been journaling and dealing with lots of emotional things that had happened in my life that I'd never, I realised, ever dealt with or accepted. And so in doing that, I was actually quite confident that by the time I got to the end of the cardiologist tests, that I would be okay. And so it proved. I did all the tests. He said, as far as we can see, there's absolutely nothing wrong at all with your heart. You're quite fit, and we can't find anything else wrong. So that proved to me, without a doubt, that all the incidents were actually emotionally induced. And now I have a formula. So I do occasionally get little signs of the same things when it occurs, just briefly again, and I know how to deal with it. And I think that's really important. So I can immediately, when I get a little flutter, and always on a golf course, because it just triggers that process. And I think, well, no, I know what that is. I know I'm fine. I can just get on and play. Don't bother me anymore. Emotions, I want to enjoy my game of golf. And I do. So it's really been important to understand that. And visualization's played a part for me, so that before I go and play golf, I can visualize myself playing well and being positive, and it's actually helped my golf as well. So great benefit. One of the questions I've often asked myself is why now? Why have I started to experience these symptoms at this point? And of course I found out through reading some of the books, by talking to Georgie, that this is quite normal. I've had what I would consider a fairly normal business life. had worked very hard, got promotions along the way, obviously got married, had children, then got divorced. Nothing particularly abnormal, but all these pressures that come along, you really just have to get on with and deal with, so you get on with day-to-day life. And I guess what happens is you store them away. And it's only when you relax that these things come back to get you. And it's probably why I get most of my symptoms in the main on the golf course, because at that point I'm relaxing. So I'm going out to enjoy myself, I'm off guard, and that's when it hit me. So I think it's quite important to understand that.